All right, we are live for a Sunday edition of the People's Talk Show, and 2 days in a row, doing good for myself. But yeah, so I thought I would wait to the end of the day to compile all the information together and share with you the latest developments and the contagion that is not really contained, even though looks like the Exchange Stabilization Fund is being used to bail out the current depositors for the two or possible three banks that have gone belly up. And so we have more bank runs. And then this current event that took place pretty much was starting with Silvergate right into SVB. Now it has hit Signature Bank, and the Republic Bank is also having some issues. So that's three banks and within a week or two or so. And it's having the consequences of these activities is starting to impact European financial institutions. And so there's, the contagion has spread. Now we just wait and see how long before the current economic conditions surrounding the financial sector starts to feel more of the pinch and pain beyond just the actual banks themselves, just because the Fed is still going to do what they're going to try to do to hike into a complete crisis. So nothing solved whatsoever. So I don't go for that bail in solving any problems. The fuse has already been lit. There's no going back. Nothing's going to get better overall. Might buy some time, might temporarily put out the fuse. But then again, if they light it from both ends, it's going to get to its final destination at some point. But all right, we're going to talk about that and a couple other things. So I hope everyone's doing well. Any first time viewers, let me know where you're watching from in the chat. Would definitely love to acknowledge your presence. I have maybe 4, 5, 6 different articles, all relevant to the contagion that is present, and how tomorrow morning still will be, it's going to be a lot of caution in the financial markets. And we'll find out what happens with the equities at the opening of the markets tomorrow, just because once again, nothing's solved at all. It's just a temporary sigh of relief, probably for the banks. But again, the mess is so large to the tune of what, two something quadrillion dollars, just because higher interest rates not only hurts the current holdings of the banks when it comes to those debt instruments, but also all the contracts taken out over the last 10 plus years at extremely low rates. So the grand finale is still in front of us. So we'll talk about that and a couple other things. But anyway, hope everyone's doing good. We got Tim checking in. We got Brawlite Broker. We got Monero Wana checking in. We got Jay. What else we got here? We got Universal Vibes TV. What else we got? Carl Lake. We got Karen checking in as well. Yeah, everything is on course. I mean, overall market conditions is no better than they were Friday. It's just that the banks think that, or the regulators think they're doing themselves some justice by trying to provide, looks like 25 billion backstop from the ESF. And so we're going to get into that. And also, outside of this current announcement of a bailout, there's been a flight to safety that has also picked up that hasn't really been covered much. And then, of course, there's been what I consider a flight to speculation as well. I'm going to talk about that as well. But I got a couple things to share with you. Then I'm going to open the phone lines. I want to get your take on things, and we'll see what we can put together tonight. Try to filter through the noise and hopefully make sense of everything as it unfolds. So I was listening to a couple of Twitter spaces today, and there was a lot of concern, man. A lot of people are like just really like, gritting their teeth, like, oh, any minute now we're going to have a Black Monday. The market's going to open up. They got 24 hours to fix this, or something's going to break. I'm like, it's already broken. It's here. Like what we've been anticipating for so long is currently present. It's no way out of it, because once again, this is a quasi QE event that they're doing by creating a new special purpose vehicle, which they're going to just continue to try to flood or backstop the uber wealthy depositors. That threshold is that, was it the 97% that's above the 250,000, which happens to be a lot of institutions not located here in the US strictly. A lot of European companies, got some pension funds is also in there as well. So that's the goal, to make sure they're whole. It's not about you and I. But okay, I'm getting beyond myself. Okay, so for those who are, happen to maybe stumble across this for the first time, I want to definitely make sure I give everybody a chance to make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the bell notification. If you find any value here, please share this so more people can find out and get an alternative spin on all this, just because it's always good to take as I say, there's three sides to the story. There's what you're told, what's not being told, and then what you do with that information in the middle. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So that's why I value your opinions that you bring to the table. So if you haven't, definitely do that for me, help the channel out. And also make sure you guys subscribe to all these various alternative platforms. Definitely join the Telegram because most things go there first. But then again, make sure you connect with all your content creators on all these platforms. Just support them as well as to make sure that you all never miss something. Okay, enough of that. Okay, let's jump right into headlines, man. I'm gonna start with you just from start to finish, and then I'm gonna show you how confidence has already been rattled. So no matter how much of a backstop they try to put in place to make people whole, people at this current moment have realized that the current events are only probably going to get worse. And so more people will still continue to remove funds from the banks. Like it's no doubt, like more people now have realized over the last 24, 48 hours with the amount of panic that has been spread across the world for the most part from people involved with SBV is that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So more people will probably diversify their funds in smaller denominations amongst the upper echelon of banks, the globally systemic important banks, which also could be a problem as well. And so there's still going to be a lot of funds being moved tomorrow morning, no doubt. People going to remove funds and take actual physical cash still, as well as move wiring funds to other banks as well. So the bank run situation is still going to ensue. This will not instill confidence in people whatsoever, because if it took this amount of contagion to have spread already across the world to get the Federal Reserve to come up with some type of special vehicle that the Treasury is going to back with the Exchange Stabilization Fund, it's going to get a lot worse. So most people want to definitely have more cash on hand now after this past weekend, whether it be for payroll or for whatever else. Okay, let's jump right into it. Okay, so here we have, let me get my situation here. Okay, so here's just some things in reference to how the contagion has already spread well beyond SBV. So I'm gonna go through 3 or 4 articles here just to show you how and why the Fed needed to step in. And of course, I think they still got a meeting tomorrow to probably go over some more things. But this was like a let's try to just calm the markets before they open Monday morning type of adjustment. So real quick here, it says this is from the Telegraph. Oh, I'm sorry, dailymail.com. This was as of yesterday. It says contagion spreads. Desperate customers line up outside First Republic Bank to take their money out after SVB Bank collapsed and sent shockwaves through the market. So we mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but then it was a couple interesting pictures here of people actually being shown at First Republic Bank on a Saturday. And so I wasn't aware of, most banks being open. I think it's probably, I don't go to a bank on Saturdays, but assuming this is the case, but here we have people standing outside banks looking to try to withdraw some funds. And this is very concerning because these people here, more than likely, are what would be considered the under $250,000 depositors, will be my guess, because nobody in that line right now is going to try to come out with more than 200, more than maybe 30, 40, 50,000 or something like that. Because if everybody in that line was trying to get the max they could get out, they'll need 1 or 2 days at best to give the bank a heads up because the cash ain't there. So that's how I know that this picture here, majority of those people were only able to get out a very small amount. So this is the minority in reference to how bad things really are at this current moment, because this current backstop is for the uber wealthy, as I just mentioned. It's for the businesses and tech companies and hedge funds and pension funds. That's who this is for. It ain't for the retail investor like these people here. So, but anyway, this is just something that's worth bringing to your attention. So just more lines, more pictures. So First Republic Bank, you got a little video footage here. I'll see if I can play this real quick. So you got somebody driving around, and this is a picture here of people actually at the bank standing in the rain. So very concerning. But then again, I think once again, we're still in the beginning phases of this. Okay, keep it moving. More interesting news. This is within the last hour. Regulators closed crypto-focused Signature Bank, citing systemic risk. So we had, first article says contagion spread. Second article says citing systemic risk. So literally things is unfolding mighty fast. And so here, just more information here. But again, this is a very crypto-friendly bank. So this is definitely going to impact the crypto space because depending on how things play out, cryptos will probably be one of the first things in line that people will look to sell just to try to get a little more liquidity cushion under themselves. So but Signature Bank is gone or put into the hands of the regulators. Okay, so keep it moving. Here's another one. And this is just goes to show how far it has spread. Silicon Valley Bank's UK branch shut down by the Bank of England. And so not only was SVB located in Cali and throughout the US, it's also in Europe. And so it says several UK venture capital firms have supported SVB UK, stating it is, quote, trusted partner and plays a pivotal role in supporting startups. So, yeah, but the Bank of England getting involved. And then keep it moving right along. Swedish retirement pension was it probably meant as SVD, Silicon Valley. I've been saying SVDs, forgive me, SVDs. Fourth largest shareholder with the holdings of nearly 280 million in stock on Friday. And so share price is already tanked. So this Swedish pension fund right here is definitely taking some losses. And so this is just one pension fund that has surfaced as a holder of basically non-performing shares in a bank that no longer is operational for the most part. And so imagine how many other pension funds globally are also probably involved with SVD as well. So yeah, this is just goes to show how bad it's gone. And then here it says, oh no, one of the largest pension plans in Sweden had 50% of its investments in Silicon Valley Bank. That went under on Friday. So yeah, I'm sure the board on Monday, or yeah, because it's probably about 6 hours ahead over there, 6 hours. So in the next couple of hours, the board will be meeting for some type of emergency measure on how they can try to get whole, because the current bailout backstop has nothing to do with the share prices of a failed bank. So those are some serious losses they're going to be taking. Here's another one here. UK scrambles to help tech firms. So the UK helps scramble tech firms after Silicon Valley Bank closed. So not only were a lot of California and a variety of tech companies in this country and SVB, but also tech firms, it looks like in the UK. And it's good to say probably France and Spain and everywhere else, because if you want to access to that region of the tech sector, it looks like everything had to go through SVB. And so they are also on the hook as well. And we don't really know how wide this goes, even though I got some stuff here that shows that, people who have funds in there, like Mark Cuban, a lot of billionaires have some small amount of funds in there. Even Ripple has some funds in there as well, XRP. So yeah, just showing you how and why this backstop was put in place today before markets open tomorrow. And then here's another one here that says Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Chancellor Hunt have held discussions with the governor of the Bank of England this weekend. So not only were the Fed and FDIC and OCC and everybody else in the mother meeting to talk about this, the Bank of England was also meeting. It's good to say a lot of other central banks. I'm sure the ECB was probably meeting as well. So they probably had all the globally systemic important central banks on a Zoom call trying to figure out how to not have this stuff spread. And so the U.S., as of right now, put up some funds to try to instate confidence back into the system. But in my personal opinion, yeah, it's no reinstating confidence after more people are realizing the truth that the fractional reserve banking model is a sham. Like the fact that there's nothing, or there's not much of what you think is yours actually in those vaults at this current time. And so that in and of itself, you can't walk that back. You can't, just call yourself coming out with a statement saying we ensure the full credibility of all the banking sector. It is strong and sturdy and all that stuff like that. As in people are supposed to say, oh, okay, I can rest now. No, people like, hell with that. Tomorrow morning, I'm going down. I'm gonna withdraw some cash, so I'm not feeling this way over another weekend if this stuff doesn't work out the way that they're trying to make it seem as if it will. So, yeah, that's the part about it. Human emotions have already been. You can't play with human emotions the way that they have, or the way that things have happened over the last couple of days, and expect to walk this back. And people just say, okay, I feel safer now that they are going to give my deposits. No, it's not happening anyway. Okay, so yeah, I want to keep moving. So I got more stuff here. And so here is the main event of the evening. And so as I mentioned last night, let me get rid of. I got too many pages up here. As I mentioned last night, it'll be two things. It'll be two ways this will play out. Either something will be done before Monday so that they don't lose control of this controlled demolition of the monetary system, or this is what they wanted and they will let the cord, they will just rip the cord from underneath or rip the rug from underneath these uber wealthy depositors, the 97%, and let this thing crumble down. And the reason I gave those two solutions was because if we look at how the current economic conditions have been deteriorating, starting with the lockdown, shutdown, where all mom and pop small businesses were put under extreme pressure. And I'm sure in your area is just as like as mine. A lot of mom and pops restaurants have gone out of business. They've distorted the labor market severely, where it's hard to find people to work still. I was out last night and it's shortage of staff. And so they already took care of the mom and pops by disrupting them. And so, what better way to disrupt even the next tier of the primary producers and the most valuable sector of our country, which happens to be the innovators in the tech space right above mom and pops. And so you got all the tech startups, the health firms, and all those people making a difference in this world through technology, software companies, yada, 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 out in Silicon Valley Bank. Now you just disrupt them. So I'm thinking like, okay, if they really want to cause chaos, why not pull the rug from under them? Let them take losses to where it makes it only easier for people to fall in line with their solution, which, as I mentioned last night, is being rolled out with this CBDC uh, beta trial that starts on March 20th. So yeah, that's still underway. So they still have that in operational. So they chose option one, to step in to try to provide some relief. So this is what this is about here. And then I'll stop ranting and I'll get your take on some things. So let me zoom in a little bit if I can. I call myself trying to highlight some things, make it easier to read, or just pull out some of the main points. Let me zoom in if I can. How do I zoom in? Okay, well, might not be able to. Yeah, there I go. Okay, yeah. So it kind of distorts my lines, but anyway, here I'll do the best I can. So real quick here, this is the primary news we all been waiting for. It says Federal Reserve Board announces. So this was today at 6:15. This was released at 6:15, 3.5 hours ago. The board, Federal Reserve Board announces it will make available additional funding to eligible depository institutions. So once again, this is we got to filter through all this lingo here because they're saying bailout without saying bailout. And then even Jenny Yellen was just quoted as saying that this is not a bailout because we're lending these funds and we're going to get it back. Okay. Yeah, just like all the other special purpose vehicles or funds that were put out there that we have yet to hear anything about those. And not to mention the reverse repo situation, which is still prevalent because a lot of the banks put their funds in the Federal Reserve hands to earn interest on it because of this current environment. Anyway, it says Federal Reserve Board announced it will make available additional funding to eligible depository institutions to help assure banks have the ability to meet the needs of all their depositors. So once again, not all their depositors, it's only the upper echelon of depositors that are above the $250,000 threshold. So what they're going to have to do moving forward now that they've come in with this quasi bailout is that this is just this. I'm gonna read more of this. This is just for one. This is just a 1 year window or a tool that they're using. But then again, now that they've come into the market in this magnitude, ensuring pretty much everybody, every bank that's going to have a ripple effect from SVB, they're coming in now to basically backstop them. And as I mentioned, it's the upper echelon of 250 and above. And so now they're going to have to eventually, with the FDIC situation, they're going to have to address that as well because they're going to have to kick up that threshold because you're going to have a lot of rich people now talking about we're going to have to remove a good portion of our funds because if we have to now rely upon special purpose vehicles to be made whole in case of a banking event, we don't want to take that risk. And so, in order to make sure the uber wealthy are confident in the banking system, they're going to have to kick that 250,000 up. I heard some people floating around saying 25 million. And so they're going to backstop up to 25 million. So that makes the tech sector and the business sector have confidence in the system. And so that's just, once you open up a can of worms of bailing out people, you can't go back, as we've witnessed over the last, 13, 14 years now. And so anyway, real quick, it says to support American businesses and households. Okay. Okay, because payroll, household, you don't get paid, then you don't have a job, then you can't support your family. Okay. Yeah. So it says the Federal Reserve Board on Sunday announced it will make available additional funding to eligible whatever. Okay. It says additional funding will be made available through the creation of a new bank term funding program. So BTFP. These people are coming up with all type of acronyms, and these tools are just ways to prop up the current fractional reserve debt-based Ponzi scheme system that's already crumbling at the seams, but they're trying to kick the can down the road. It says offering loans for up to 1 year in length to banks, saving associations, credit unions, and other eligible depository institutions pledging U.S. Treasury. So the very same instrument that's causing all of this, which is the debt instruments and the Feds and being very insistent on continuing to hike to fight inflation, and these banks holding all this mortgage-backed agency debt crap. I get so frustrated with this stuff. Anyway, so if you're a special player, you get a chance to get bailed out, is what it's saying. And it says here, with approval of the Treasury Secretary, the Department of Treasury will make available up to $25 billion from the Exchange Stabilization Fund at a backstop for the BTFP. And so it says, after receiving recommendations from the board of the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, after consultation with the president, so Biden backs this, approved actions to enable the FDIC to complete its resolution of SVB and Signature Bank in a manner that fully protects all depositors, both insured and uninsured. So this literally basically saying we're bailing out, temporarily bailing out, quasi bailing out. We're coming in to make sure we prop this up so the contagion doesn't spread. So what they're doing basically, the pension funds that I just mentioned a moment ago, the tech firms in the UK and around the world, all those funds are now being securitized by the United States government from the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which ultimately is basically, that fund. I'm not even sure what the total amount of currency which is in that thing, but it's for this purpose, is to prevent type of financial crises that we're witnessing now. But the biggest thing is you can try to backstop and protect people up front, but you can't reinstate confidence back into the system. It is not possible at all. So anyway, the bailout was here. Now we'll wait and see what happens Monday morning. Okay, so outside of that, as I mentioned before, the flight to safety has already began. And so people who have been able to get something out or been able to swipe a card, they have already begun purchasing things and moving things outside of the current legacy system. Why do I know that? Just it's quite obvious. I've heard several people throughout the Twitter sphere and some people in the chat as well mention about they've bought weight. They've gotten their weight up. And so that's a way of getting out of the system and getting liquid in a sense and sound money. And so I want to share with you something here. And let me see here. Let me share this if I can right here. So this is something that caught my attention earlier, which just shows that the flight to safety is still underway because confidence has already been shattered. And so, and this is one of the things where it could be genuine, or could be fake, it could be a sales pitch. I don't know, but I'll just run with it because I know I purchased. So anyway, it says here. This is from Zero Hedge. This was also almost 4 hours ago. And this is a quote from AppMax, which is an online bullion dealer. It says, due to recent banking developments, we are experiencing record volume demand this weekend. So not only have people been standing in line at First Bank of Republic to get currency out, they've been getting physical paper. And for those who couldn't probably get paper out, they probably went online and swiped that debit card to get some physical metal sent their way. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's happening right now. And then here's some interesting graphics here that kind of hints at the same thing. So this is from what's his name? Michael or Mike Say 98. So he does a good job of trying to keep track of inventory and a variety of depositories and things like that. So this is some things he put together from his information. Make of it what you may, but it says AppMax Silver estimated Saturday sales. So it says top 40 products of 10 select weights. And so as of right now, according to his measurements, he says yesterday tracked silver sales at AppMax were the highest I've ever recorded for a Saturday. He says sales were 49% higher than the previous record and 322% above average. And he said hashtag silver squeeze. So just looking at this visual aid here lets me know that some people have been getting their weight up over the weekend. And I'm sure you guys can agree. Let me know in the chat if you've also been a person that have gotten your weight up over the weekend as well. Just out of precautionary measures, you can never have too much savings in your possession or headed towards a depository or something like that. And then here's the gold, AppMax Gold. It says estimated Saturday sales. So it says not to be left behind. Yesterday's tracked gold sales at AppMax were also the highest I've ever recorded for a Saturday. It says sales were 28% higher than the previous record and 225% above average. So this is just APMEX, and according to his measurements. So he does a good job of reporting things. So I wouldn't put it past him to actually have some decent stats. So anyway, but regardless of the bailout, the contagion is still underway. Confidence has been shattered. You're not gonna put the genie back in the bottle within, a couple hours before the markets open tomorrow. So there still be tremors, there still be doubt in what's going on because the Fed is still talking about tightening still to fight inflation. So it's a spiraling, it's going to be a spiraling event. It's no undoing what has been done. So my message, my thoughts, continue to do what you've been doing well before now. Get your weight up, be prepared. Definitely get prayed up so that you know and are able to move in the form and fashion that's best suited for your situation, because not all circumstances are equal out here. Everybody's at a different point in their financial lives, spiritual lives, social lives, relationships, you name it. So all of that is important. Wade says 10 from Wade. Wade, man, I appreciate you for being a blessing to the channel. Thank you, my man. Okay, so let me so I'm gonna open the phone lines and make sure everybody has a chance to let their voice be heard. Of course, I'm sure there's more. I was talking to John Perez, trying to get him on, and we were playing phone tag. So let me see if he I was wanting to have John come on because some people are sharing his message on Mike Adams about margin calls tomorrow. So if now that there's a little bit of a backstop to reinstate confidence, there may not be as much of a scramble for people to really run out and try to get liquid and have to sell things off. And there might not be as many margin calls that people are actually able to go and make due on their past debts and things of that nature. So, yeah, so he did get back with me. So anyway, okay. So for those who are plugged in, appreciate you for blessing me with your presence and your time. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that bell notification. If you find anything of value here, please like it, please share it, put it out there so people can find out an alternative perspective. And then, of course, make sure you guys connect on social media. Links for all this is down below. And all right, so have your thoughts, have your questions together. Let's open the phone lines. Let's talk. But before I do that, let me share with you something about the food situation. We'll jump right into the phone line. So have your questions ready. Know that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over 2/3 of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. So what does China know that we don't? China is the world's #1 importer, relying on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. This makes them the canary in the coal mine when it comes to global food shortages. As Americans, we need to be prepared for potential food shortages. That's where 4Patriots Survival Food comes in. Their kits are compact, stackable, and have received a 5-star review for their flavor and taste. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by using code RTD at checkout at 4patriots.com. Don't wait. Prepare today. Once again, use code RTD at 4patriots.com and save 10% on your first purchase. All right, let's get into it, people. I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and as well as other developments. I'm sure like there's been nonstop. There's been nonstop activity today as far as people. And that's the thing. Like one thing, I have my ears open today, just trying to take it all in so that we can talk about it tonight. But I was listening to a lot of people in the tech sector, in the financial space, the people who got contacts and VCs and you name it, and they're talking about getting emails and getting calls and a lot of concern about not being able to make payroll. Like it was amazing to me how many companies are talking about payroll and concerns of that nature, to where they were saying that we may have a week's worth. And then I heard one guy talk about this upcoming, so the 15th and the 30th are the typical days for pay. And they were saying like that would be literally like this upcoming week is pay week. And so if they can't get funds out into the system, into people's hands this week, there was going to be a lot of issues of people, not showing up to work, and just a complete domino effect in the workforce on top of everything else. But anyway, phone lines are open. Feel free to let me know what you think. Where have I missed it? Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Let me know. This is a talk show, and so the goal is to get your opinion, because I just share with you mine. So, all right, let's talk. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Hey, this is RTDTV.
Yes, this is, my friend. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Mike from the Midwest.
Mike, what's going on, my friend? What's on your mind?
Hey, glad you have a show again tonight. I kind of wanted to follow up with you, man. And I know I've kind of been on the same, probably the same journey as a lot of us here in the chats and on following the show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was watching your show yesterday, and you talked. I'm sorry, it kind of makes me grin, but you kind of talked about the whole XRP army
Mm-hmm.
and the USD stablecoin, all that stuff. And I've been following that stuff heavily as well. And I actually had a pretty big stake in USDC.
Mm-hmm.
And you were kind of. It sounds like you're sort of part of that team as well. But you said that of course, this is just speculation.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know how this is going to play out. So
Right.
I just wanted to get your idea of basically what you're thinking now about these types of speculative bets at this moment.
Good point. Good point. So while I got you on here, let me share with you something I shared in the chat, just to give you an idea as to what's currently underway. And so I do follow the markets of all kinds. So on the screen right here, I have I put out today. I looked at the crypto market, and due to the panic, we had the total market cap is 1.1 trillion when I put this out here. So within the last 24 hours, there's been a mass dash into the crypto space. And so I said the fight to speculation picks up. And then to verify that, there was another little graph here showing that even Bitcoin and Ethereum transaction fees have also picked up, meaning that there's been a lot of activity on the networks of people trying to front run what they consider to be a possible incoming tranche of money coming soon. So that's the speculative nature I'm talking about there. Like a lot of people are going there for speculation's sake, thinking that now that the markets, the banks are coming crashing down, everybody's gonna be forced to run into Bitcoin because it's the gold, it's the digital gold version. So they're trying to front run that next bull market that might follow from this. But then again, there's no guarantees, just because a lot of people who, if the banking sector, if they didn't just had this little temporary bailout situation, a lot of people will also be forced to sell Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, everything else to try to make themselves whole as far as getting liquidity. So it's a give or take. And so we won't really know the true, I guess, if Bitcoin is meant to be a safety net, we won't know about it until this entire debt-based fiat Ponzi system comes to an end, because we value Bitcoin in dollar terms. So right now, Bitcoin is what, $21,000. You know what I'm saying? So not until we see some type of large amount of cash injected, like a hyperinflationary situation, will the Bitcoin itself in dollar terms be of something that people can really process as having benefited from the system. So it's speculative. Whereas with gold and silver, you get you an ounce or get you a kilo, whatever it is, you don't have to think about it what it is in USD, because you can take that thing and do anything with it in any currency at any time, or not even use a currency, and it still has value. Just for the actual the weight itself has the content value, and you don't have to depend upon the actual USD figure for it in the future, hyperinflation or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's the insurance side of gold and silver that is not in the Bitcoin sector as of yet. So that's the speculation I'm talking about there. You can front run the bull run, but then again, there's no guarantees there.
That's true. Okay, well, I really appreciate your opinion, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
For
today.
sure. Appreciate you, my friend.
You too.
Hello, Carlos. Where we calling from?
I'm calling from Missouri.
From Missouri. From Missouri. What's your name, buddy? If you don't mind telling me.
Wade. This is Wade.
Wade, what's up, Wade? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's in your mind?
I'm showing that you guys were going to the SVB, and I remember Janet Yellen coming out saying that she wasn't going to do any bailouts.
Right.
And then right after, I saw the other information coming from Israel saying that they had firms that were connected to SVB Bank.
Oh, okay.
I told my friends, I say they're going to give them a bailout now. People are like, oh, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they come right out. It wasn't even an hour later.
Mm-hmm.
They came out and they could do the bailouts.
Yeah. So on the screen here, I just typed in bailouts in Twitter real quick, and it says, how big is the latest Fed bailout? And so it says 200 billion for just 4 big banks. So literally, as of right now, this is what this graph here just shows you how these figures for bailouts or backstops or whatever they want to call them, how they're growing in size. And this is a number 16 bank, you know what I'm saying? 16 and whatever else that other size of those banks were. So we ain't even got to the globally systemic important banks yet. So yeah, they got a lot of fight on their hands if they're trying to really prop the banks up still.
It's not even that. I don't think it's that. I think they're going to use this to cover
what's coming, because April the 1st, Russia releases their ruble gold-backed CBDC coin.
That's right.
And don't forget Saudi Arabia. Yeah, Saudi Arabia and Iran have already closed doors. They've had a 6-day meeting in China.
Yeah.
So all the banking systems are moving. So I believe this is indicative of what's going on. I think what's going on is that people have already moving their money.
Yeah.
The money is already moving out of these hedge funds. And the United States just threatened UAE with sanctions.
That's big.
Culminating to what's going on. I think SVB is just a screen, but I think behind the scene is all the funds that the Arab nations and the Middle East nations have. They're moving over to the BRICS bank now.
That's some good. Hey, that's some good speculation there, which kind of lines up with the current trajectory of all that gold having flowed out east, and everybody and their mother looking to join the BRICS. And so that sounds like they already. So now for sure. So that right there comes in August, and at the next summit. I think there's going to be some type of announcement as well. So we'll see. But yeah, it's underway, my friend. Thank you for calling, buddy.
Yeah, hey, no problem. You take care.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Appreciate the call. So yeah, feel free to give me a call. Let me know what's in your mind. Let me know how you're processing this and what other angle are we not looking at this from. That's why, as I mentioned, there's 3 sides to the story: what we're told, what we can decipher, how we process it. So how are you processing this? Give me a different angle, perhaps, that we haven't discussed as of now, because I'm sure there's a couple of very smart individuals out there that has some thoughts. Says the BRICS dead on arrival. Yeah, we'll see, but I'd imagine, because we know that there's more than enough countries that have already expressed interest in joining the BRICS. And joining the BRICS comes with certain stipulations of, one, they're going to have a new currency that you have to be a part of. So therefore, you're going to have some reserves, i.e. in gold. And beyond that, you're going to have to bring something else to the table. And I actually saw a graph saying how I think it was majority of the current BRICS and the ones that are part of the BRICS Plus GDP already surpasses the rest of the world. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, so they already have enough natural assets and things of that nature to be very productive here. And whereas in the West, all we've done is exported debt. So we're not really bringing much to the table these days. So we're going to have to either go to war or they're going to pull a cyber attack on us. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Philip from North Dakota.
Philip, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, man. So I'm going to bring you some insight.
Please do.
I listen to the podcast all day. All right. So right now, Congress or the Senate are having a field day right now because nobody can take any accounting of where all the money's gone to when it comes to Ukraine. Like, everyone keeps lobbying, like the military and everyone who's involved is just lobbying for them to, like, sweep it under the rug, hush, hush, no counting,
right,
for all the money that's being sent, right? So you got these guys out here, they're going to give Ukrainians and fund their pensions, right? But yet, we got all this stuff going out here. It's like, basically what these guys were talking about was like, print all this money. It doesn't matter. The Fed can pay off all its debts, can put $1 trillion in everyone's accounts, but it doesn't matter. He didn't produce anything. So what we're looking to expect is, some speculate that the Russians are wanting to basically send us back to the Stone Age, like we did to them, right? Gorbachev days, and then that's why we have a lot of issues with our food. And here's another thing, right? What they brought up was a good topic, right? It was like, Biden is over here sitting here incentivizing all of these power plants to shut down, basically saying, hey, if you dismantle and shut down, we're going to pay you all of your profits, all your losses for 10 years.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But essentially what that'll end up doing is putting us about 25% negative for energy, right? But yet we want to be green, but
yeah. Yeah, so I've heard
now we're putting ourselves in a power deficit.
Right, I've heard of the government incentivizing farmers over the last year or two, paying for them to destroy their crops, like, giving them 2-3 times what they would normally make on it to destroy it. So, and that's the sad part when and I mention this all the time. It's my opinion that it sucks when your government's trying to do you under. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really sucks, and that's where, like, being as independent or self-sufficient and, of course, God reliant as possible has never been more important. It comes to, of course, education and as well staying plugged in on information like this, man. So appreciate you. What else? You got anything else?
Yeah, like I told you, right? I was back, I think, I don't know, so a few months ago, I'm boiling peanuts as a side hustle as well, doing construction and stuff like that, right? But it's like, you got to understand, right? Supply chains are messing up. We're not going to be getting stuff from China, Taiwan, right? So it's like, so essentially, these goods that you're dependent on, that you're used to having, you're not going to get it. And you're going to have to get used to, like, people back in the day, right, where they were making dresses out of sacks of flour, you know what I mean, where you were making Lincoln logs out of wood, everyone complaining about all the toys and how cheap everything is, but nobody's making anything. Everyone's been turned into a consumer.
Right. Very true. And
I'm not saying nobody, but it's like,
the majority.
The majority of
right.
the people. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so that's been by design. So that's been by design because of us having. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if you don't have a bread machine and you're not making your own bread, then what happens if you can't get bread at the store, right? If you didn't get your flour and your, I don't know, what is it, your Bisquick, right? And you can't get biscuits. Well, I mean, you can make your biscuits, right? So it's like, you eat less Eat less processed food. Start making your own, right? So it's like Bisquick and water and some salt, and you got your own biscuits, right? So it's like, people just need to start learning to do for themselves and to start. You got to live within your means. You got to stop wanting, right? You got to stop wanting the mansion, the car. It's like you got to stop being what's that? When you're inner rich,
Yeah.
or house poor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
House payments, but you ain't got no furniture up in there, right? You got the car, but you can't afford the gas. It's like you wanted these things for yourself, and you're sitting there working these jobs, and then you're like, "Oh man, I deserve this." What, you deserve $1,000 payment every month?
Right. But hey, man, appreciate you calling and sharing your insights. Let me get a couple more calls, my man. Thanks for keeping us up to date.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, good stuff, people. Good stuff. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Bring it to us. Also, so I got more subjects, but I was trying to keep it just on the financial sense. But here's another headline that I'll share real quick that caught my attention. And so this here, it says here, Texas authorities warn residents against travel to Mexico for spring break after the kidnappings. And something like, you take an event where it looks like, some people crossed the border, kidnapped and killed. I think it was 2 out of 4, or I'm not sure, or all 4. And then you try to turn this into like a propaganda of like, Mexico's dangerous. You don't want to go there right now. It's like, to me, it just seems like it's a tactic to keep people from leaving this country. Like, like they don't want people, because of banking situations, economic conditions, or whatever else, going to Mexico, because a lot of people have already gone south in a way of trying to look for greener pastures or safer pastures or less government interference. But I'm thinking like this here, the way they're going to spin this is definitely to try to keep people in, because of they don't want people to leave. But I thought that was just something to mention. All right, let's get a couple more calls here. Let me see if I can get you on here. Oops, missed you. I'm sorry about that. I missed your call. Give me a call back. I'll get you on here. What else we got here? I got some more stories as well. I got all types of stories, but I didn't have them ready. Yeah, so I'll spare you guys on that. Anyway, give me a call. If not, we'll get ready to shut it back down. But I definitely wanted to keep you guys up to date after I consumed all this information for the day in reference to where we're at. Temporary bailout, nothing's changed. Economy's still crumbling. And let me share something else with you. The inversion of the yield curve is still at historical level. And that has been the most accurate measurement of pending recessions. And that boy's been negative for half a year plus. So like we're past the point of a recession. It's just that they've been able to prop up certain sectors of the economy to make it look as if things are good. And of course, confidence is still high because people are still swiping cards and people are still employed. But as of now, once things officially break, we move beyond the recession narrative. We know what narrative comes after recessions. So, it's just anyway. Hello, caller. Which name we calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? It's Jimmy from Baltimore.
Jimmy, what's going on, my friend?
Man, a couple things come to my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Great Reset.
Okay.
Like just random thoughts, like the renewing of the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we need a reset. Like look at one of the many ways they control us is through the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, they just constantly pumping out fear. Like my mind has been renewed. Like I said a couple months back,
Mm-hmm.
this Great Reset has to deal with the renewing of the mind.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm in a different state. Like,
mm-hmm.
like I want this to happen.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad it's happening. Like I see, like I just look back at all the times that the quote unquote the world was about to end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it ain't never happened. Like
Yeah.
maybe it end as we know it. I think they have the whole world, in my opinion, like scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what's really happening, if you ask me, I don't think this. I know this, Mike. They scratching their heads right now. Like they see, I think some of us think that they got this all figured out because they quote unquote control the money and control the economy. They only control what the God. They only control what God allows them to control.
Right.
And what's happening is their time is up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But some of us have, in my opinion, some of us have elevated mentally to understand that this is what's happening. So we're cool, calm, and collect.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us are still operating, in my opinion, on the fear frequency, and we running, scrambling, taking the money out the bank, like going crazy. Like, when what's really happening is God is telling his people,
mm-hmm.
stay calm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working everything out because I just feel like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said last time, all this stuff has to happen to wake more people up. It's the Great Reset, the renewing of the mind.
Right. Hey, good stuff, man. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Before I take the next call, let me see the super chat here from Major League. Says, should I invest in inverse ETFs? And so, Major, once again, financial advice can't give that, but I personally, apart from if you are, a quote unquote very knowledgeable, sophisticated investor, and you know how to maneuver, get in, get out, then that would be something that I would assume you already a part of that type of investing. And so, if you're successful with it already, and if it's worked for you, continue to do what you do. But if you're trying to get into something to profit off of this transition or this reset, and you don't have any experience, then you're speculating, aka gambling, and you can probably lose more than you end up winning just because the game is rigged against us. So unless you know what you're doing, you putting yourself at risk. And then just to give you some insight, because I personally I'm not well versed in that type of speculation, but it says inverse ETF. It says an inverse ETF is an exchange traded fund constructed by using various derivatives to profit from a decline in the value of underlying benchmark. And so derivatives, underlying benchmark, various. So that right there is more sophisticated than I'm familiar with because I don't speculate in that nature there. So my suggestion would be, if you're involved in that, you've already done well in that, stick to your guns. But if you're getting in for the first time, consult somebody who's knowledgeable in that information there. And also, don't put out more than you're willing to lose, because as we're witnessing these backstops and bailouts, it can easily turn against you. Like we can see we can believe this economy is going one way, but then like that, they can come in and prop things up with another special purpose vehicle for their friends, which is the banks, not you. So they want the banks to win or not to fail. They don't care about you failing and losing your money. So that's just my 2 cents there, man. But appreciate the question. Thanks for the love offering as well. And also, if we have any traders, any speculators out there that's knowledgeable with that information, feel free to share with Major Leagues in the chat your expertise or experience, and share your opinion on that matter as well. So the whole point in with the chat is get everybody involved. So I appreciate you. Jay said, LBP, you can't buy ETFs on credit cards. All right, man. So I did miss some calls. Forgive me. Let's get some more calls in here. Share your thoughts, insights, and go from there. But also, I just saw something. I just saw some activity. It looks like, let me see. I keep an eye on Peter Schiff because he stays ahead of it, sharing his 2 cents. So let's see what Peter just said. It says, this is 5 minutes ago. It says stocks are rallying and gold lost its early gains because investors think the bailout means there's no longer anything to worry about. It says the bailout proves there's a lot more to worry about. The problem is larger, the economy weaker, and inflation higher than investors believed. And so we got like a little bit of a sell-off. So let me refresh this just to take a look at the metals markets. And so they opened up in the East, did a little bit of bid. And let me see. So we are at 2073, 80, 1877. And once again, I wouldn't be surprised that to keep people from having confidence in sound money, tomorrow morning, as always, when the markets open up, we're going to get a lot of green candles for the stock market. It's going to be a major sell-off in gold and silver. You're definitely going to get a crypto pump because crypto and stocks go hand in hand. And so it's that illusion of everything is calm. Everybody's getting their money back. Nothing to see here. Move along. Everything is hunky dory until it's not. So, yeah, manipulation can be your friend if you know how to work it. Okay, what else we got here? Let me see here. Stick to the metal. We only have truths I learned a long time ago. Invest in yourself. Steve was 100%, man. Your skill set and your knowledge bank is your number one asset, hands down. And also, one thing, from a spiritual standpoint, I'm really, still diving into word, trying to build up my faith because I know this current event as it unfolds is going to be biblical in nature. It's going to be around the lines of, Joseph and a 7-year famine type discomfort. And so, but not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be impacted the same way. So, and according to your faith, it will be unto you. And so I'm believing God for blessings and continued favor throughout this entire process. That's just where I'm trying to put my faith in that. If I got any other believers out there believing for the same thing, let me get an amen in the chat. Eli says powder dry until tomorrow and then after the Fed report mid-March. Okay. Yeah, and we still got a FOMC meeting coming up. Was it next week or yeah? And they gonna hike or something like that too. So you're gonna continue to hike, stranglehold of the banks and the financial sector. Interesting times, man. All right, well, I ain't getting my phone calls. I just want to check in, give you an update in according to what's going on. I'm sure you guys already been plugged in because this is very important information. But once again, bailout, temporary relief. Confidence is not coming back. More people will still be getting cash out tomorrow just because they know what it's like to live a 48-hour weekend with the threat of not being able to get what you think is yours out in time. And where is that fund going to go to? It's going to flow right into metals and other real tangible things. And then, of course, people are going to speculate on the side just because it's human nature. And that's the best way to actually, gamble in a sense to grow what you have. So, all right, my good people. I see some amens out there. Vinny Grant, we got D Nice out there. Beautiful sunrise. Appreciate you guys. Amen. Yeah. Stay prayed up, man. God is in control. All this stuff is a cakewalk. Is just cool breeze in the air in reference to what God has planned for his children, man. And if you are in the kingdom, then God got some plans for you because your gifts will make room for you, hands down, no matter what's a recession, depression. God's people still have opportunity to shine bright. So that's what I'm believing. But anyway, my good people, be blessed, be safe. Be back at it tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be more stuff to talk about. And of course, I'm going to get your thoughts on things. So be blessed, be safe. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Shalom.